Hey, this is John Carlos, and I'm here with a look at the Kaiju Leatherback figure from the Pacific Rim Series 2 action figures by NECA. One of the things I like about this figure is that all the articulation allows you to get him to lean forward into a leaning on all fours kind of pose. Which if you've seen the film, then you know that he spends a lot of time running on all fours. So they'd have to create articulation that allows you to get him into that position. In fact, I can't imagine why anyone would want him to be like standing on 2 feet like this, especially with his little feet and all the weight on top. And the figure does have a lot of articulation. You've got this rotating joint at the hip, you've got the single knee joint, you've got this secondary knee joint down here, and then you've got the swiveling ankle. On top of which you've got the single arm joint at the shoulder, then you've got this joint at the elbow, and then the swiveling wrist. And one of the things that I really dig about this is if you look right here, you can see he's got a hinged thumb. Well, that thumb's really tight, but he's got hinged fingers and a hinged thumb. Here, this one actually has some mobility. I like that each finger is individually articulated. Lastly, we've got his head, which I think they did a really good job with considering how tiny it is compared to the rest of his body. But you've got a little ability to turn here, and he's got a hinged jaw. Now I want to focus on the sculpt and the paint, and I think some of the best sculpting is going on his back, where you can see his little EMP generator. And there's some really good sculpting considering how tiny that area is. You can see there's a little bit of paint lines going along the side of that thing, and on the inside space. So I think that looks really good. Really tiny little sculptural work right there. Also the ridges on his back look good, and the little tail spine area. But all his little like fat wrinkles are sculpted really well, and they included little kind of green, skin-like paint grooves to go in there. The overall skin surface looks really good too. It does, I mean, his name's Leatherback, duh, but like there is kind of a nice weathered, leathery kind of wash to this that complements all the little grooves in the sculpt on top of the little glowing blue lines. But there's a good use of green paint on his skin. I'll just give you a closer look at his legs. You can see how fat and like wrinkled they are. Even his little toes right there look good. I'm really liking the paint on his shoulders and arms. Paint on his chest looks good too. He is like a big leathery King Kong, I think. Crotch shot. And then you could see his hands look really good. I like how like thick-skinned it is with these little horns growing out of them. Even going up along his arm, you get that too, and some good paint. The paint really does complement the sculpt quite nicely. It doesn't destroy the sculpt, it does highlight it, so that's really good work on NECA's part. And here's a close-up look at his face. The paint on his eyes is really good. That little black line for his eyes looks good. I don't really understand this giant blue smear that's going across the side of his face. If it's supposed to highlight his teeth, they did a horrible job there. But this little center section here looks good. The top ridges look good. His tongue inside there looks good, and I really like the way they handled his little hairy spike things coming out. I didn't get the knife head kaiju from Series 1 because I thought it was really small and barely had any articulation. This, though, is massive compared to that one, and has much more articulation. I'm really happy with the sculpt, the size of it, and how much articulation he has. I think this is a really, really cool kaiju action figure. Thanks for watching.